Hello and welcome. Welcome to the 3D Upper Cervical Specific Chiropractic History 909 Introduction course. What do you need for this course? Well, you will need a few pieces of paper and something to write with and take notes. This lesson takes about 10 minutes to view. You can participate with the lessons by writing your answers. You can also read through the additional course resources available on the e-learning website. There are two purposes for this presentation. We wanted to introduce you to the early history of Upper Cervical Chiropractic and briefly introduce you to the e-learning course you will experience with the 3D Upper Cervical program. This video is the first part out of 5 in the Upper Cervical History course. The two main goals of this history course is to help you, 1, understand how the upper cervical procedure developed, and 2, improve your critical thinking related to upper cervical chiropractic work. Why should we study chiropractic history? Who cares? It happened in the past, right? Well, we study history because it tells us a story. This story helps us better understand what is happening around us right now. Our brains are wired to remember stories, not dates and times. Every story in history answers 6 questions: who, what, when, where, why, and how. This comprises the history narrative. Who was the main player in the story? Who else played a supporting role in the story? What did they do? When did the story take place? Where did it happen? The why of history is up to you and I to determine. The how of history requires understanding of the subject matter or a unique insight about the situation. For example, how is the narrative of D.D. Palmer adjusting Harvey Lillard in debate? The historical narrative may be different than the one you were taught in school. Upper Cervical Chiropractic evolved from D.D. Palmer's first adjustment because D.D. delivered the first upper cervical adjustment on the axis vertebra of Harvey Lillard. Did D.D. adjust T4 on Harvey Lillard or C2 of axis? Does it matter? Well, you decide. What can chiropractic history teach us? Chiropractic history inspires us. Chiropractic history helps us understand how everything is connected, and studying chiropractic history helps us develop our critical thinking skills. Chiropractic history is more than memorization of names, dates, and facts. Why do you think we should study chiropractic history? Now, this is a quick quiz. Why do you think we should study and understand the history of upper cervical chiropractic? Write at least 2 examples of what you think are benefits not already mentioned and why. Use the reference material included with this course on the website. Now you can pause the video here and write those answers down now. So I'll go ahead and continue on with the presentation, but go ahead and stop the presentation now, pause it, and answer those questions, and then come on back. Welcome back. You wrote down the answer to those questions, right? Well, you might have noticed this icon in the lower right-hand corner. What is it? This icon represents additional course tasks or projects that relate to our Level 1 program certification. Every time you see this icon, there is an included task you must complete for the certification. You will be required to keep and submit a written record of all completed assignments to obtain your certification. The certification is explained further in the 3D Upper Cervical Level 1 Program Introduction Guide. Who are the main players in the upper cervical chiropractic narrative? We can view the early pioneers of chiropractic as players in a card game. Each dealt their respective hands, and each playing their part in the advancing of upper cervical chiropractic. Who are they? The early players in the upper cervical chiropractic history game are Daniel David Palmer, the discoverer of chiropractic; B.J. Palmer, D.D. Palmer's son, known as the developer of chiropractic; Harvey Lillard, the first chiropractic patient adjusted by D.D. Palmer; Wilhelm Röntgen, the discoverer of X-ray imaging; and Dasa Dixon Evans, the inventor of the neurocolometer, an upper cervical instrument. Each of these men have made a unique contribution to chiropractic. Daniel David Palmer, aka D.D. Palmer, was born on March 7, 1845, and died on October 20, 1913. His birthplace was Port Perry, Ontario, Canada. However, this is debated, which we discuss in the history course in more detail. We know he died in Los Angeles, California, and the cause of death was reported as typhoid fever. His cremated remains are currently located at the Palmer College of Chiropractic in Davenport, Iowa. Harvey Lillard was an African-American janitor who worked in the Ryan Building in Brady Street, Davenport, Iowa, USA. He was the first person to be adjusted with chiropractic care by D.D. Palmer. Harvey told D.D. Palmer that he had lost most of his hearing 17 years prior while bent over in a cramped, stooping position. He said he heard something pop in his spine and then lost his hearing. Harvey said he could not hear the racket of a wagon on the street or the ticking of a watch. D.D. Palmer persuaded Harvey Lillard to allow him to rack his bone back into position. D.D. Palmer decided to push the vertebra back into place, and after a few days and 2 visits of care, Lillard said that his hearing was better and almost completely restored. Bartlett Joshua Palmer, B.J. Palmer, was the developer of chiropractic. Born in 1882 and died in 1961. He has achieved a lasting impact within the chiropractic profession to this day. After his death, his legacy is still being debated, but his impact upon chiropractic remains as the greatest single individual influence. While he dominated the colorful chiropractic landscape for better than half of the 20th century, his uncontested philosophical and political role lasted 18 years. B.J. Palmer is the one who reports D.D. Palmer adjusted Harvey Lillard's neck and not his T4 vertebra. When did D.D. Palmer adjust Harvey Lillard? September 18, 1895. However, it has been reported that this event may have taken place in early 1896 and not in 1895, as it is commonly accepted. We review this in the History 101 course as well. We're going to let you be the judge. In the History 101 course, we also examine the role Upper Cervical Chiropractic has played in over 100 years of chiropractic history, from the late 1800s until today. History can be confusing, but we have tools to make it more understandable. For students seeking certification, we have you build your own unique timeline using any time-related graph tools you desire. Here are shown some examples. We discuss more details in the course guide, but you can start right now by writing down your own timeline in your notes. Go ahead and create a simple timeline with the name of all 5 players already mentioned. Fill in the important dates and what accomplishments they have contributed. Refer to the course resources online. So go ahead and pause the video here and write this course exercise down. I'm going to continue on and you can join us. Where did all of this piece of chiropractic history take place? In Davenport, Iowa on Brady Street. The bigger picture is of Davenport, Iowa today, and then the smaller picture from the 1800s. Notice the change that has taken place. How will Davenport look in another 20 or 100 years? How will chiropractic change in the next 20 to 100 years? The Palmer School and 40-room inpatient infirmary was located on the 4th floor of the Ryan Building when this photo was taken in 1900 at the turn of the century. What is a precipitating event in chiropractic history? D.D. Palmer adjusting Harvey Lillard. This one event is the defining chiropractic narrative. Using your mind's eye, imagine yourself in the room with D.D. Palmer. What did it look like? What did it sound like? What did it smell like? There were no cars, there were no phones, and there were no radios. What did they have? Well, they had horses, telegrams, and newspapers. Technology was limited by today's standards, but D.D. delivered the adjustment anyway. In the History 101 course, we look at what role technology has played in the development of upper cervical chiropractic. This picture shows D.D. Palmer's waiting room in the early 1890s. What do you notice about this room? How would you compare it to a chiropractic office of today? Can you see the beginning of what a chiropractic office will look like? Do you notice the 3 benches along the far wall? How would you compare it to chiropractic tables in use today? Do you notice the books on the far right? At the turn of the century, modern medicine was just beginning, along with many other holistic therapies such as naturopathy and osteopathy. Formal education was lacking, so practitioners often had to read extensively to educate themselves. This is D.D. Palmer's library. From question number 213 in the book The Great Divide by B.J. Palmer, B.J. Palmer said Dede adjusted the axis vertebra. The anatomy and orthopedic books of the time said any attempt to correct a problem with the neck would lead to paralysis. Dede Palmer told students he had adjusted the fourth thoracic vertebra instead of the axis vertebra. He said he didn't want to encourage early students to adjust the neck, fearing they could do harm. Any adjusting accidents at the time would have ruined the early reputation of chiropractic. This question about the defining chiropractic moment is debated until this day. We may never know for sure exactly what happened, but this event did lead to the development of upper cervical specific chiropractic. So what else does history have to say about moving bones in the neck? Now, this old print was sampled from the original and discovered at the Taichung Medical School in Taipei, China. It is estimated at more than 3,000 years old. It was inscribed on the breastplate of a tortoise shell and illustrates a form of ancient spinal manipulation. Does it look familiar to you? Now here is the question. What makes upper cervical chiropractic different than the 3,000 years of practicing manipulation? Go ahead and pause the video here and write down your answer. I'll continue on and you can join us. All right, you fill out that question, right? Okay, so let's continue on. For those students participating in the program, you will be invited to answer the previous question and join the conversation on the 3D Upper Cervical Google Plus or Facebook page. You can read more about this in the program study guide once you're enrolled in the course. What's next? Well, I hope you enjoyed this presentation. It is a sample of the online learning material found in the 3D Upper Cervical History course. We offer plenty of quality online learning through relevant projects, productive writing assignments, and engaging discussions, both online and off. We also offer frequent interactive live webinars, including live lectures, guest interviews, student discussions, and more. The presentation you just saw is the first part of the Module 1 Imaging History course. This does not complete the entire history course. We do offer more material in the actual course itself. The 3D Upper Cervical program comprises a series of 3 modules, including imaging, instrumentation, and adjusting. Each module has lecture course material available online, hands-on workshops, and a test leading to certification in the Level 1 program. If you are interested in enrolling in the 3D Upper Cervical program, please fill out our application form. Once accepted, we will contact you with further details and instructions on what to do next. Go to this page and fill out the form. If you have any comments or questions, please forward them to 3duppercervical@gmail.com. We are looking forward to having you with us for the duration of the course and helping you grow your skills with upper cervical specific chiropractic. Thank you.